Welcome to Larry the Alchemist, where we discuss all things heavy metal and hard rock. On today's episode, let's discuss Savatage and their 1987 fourth studio album, Hall of the Mountain King. I just love this album cover and love the back cover. Surprised I haven't talked about Savatage on my channel yet because I absolutely love this band, especially this era of the band. The albums, The Dungeons Are Calling, Sirens. I'll probably do videos on these in the future, and this one I just absolutely adore. They check off all the boxes that I want to hear from 80s metal. It's got a little bit of that dark vibe to it, some neoclassical stuff thrown in there. It's epic at times, fantastic musicianship. So I just absolutely love it. Savatage is a band that often gets mentioned as like an early power metal band. I personally don't hear that. I hear Savatage as just being a great traditional metal band, maybe with a little bit of a European influence to their sound. Now, Savatage is from Tampa, Florida, where I'm from, and Savatage, along with Savage Grace, would be two metal bands that would sort of break out of the area and would become very influential to a lot of the early death metal bands, like Obituary, for instance, who often cite Savatage and Savage Grace as influences. The band consists of Chris Oliva on guitar, and Chris is, in my opinion, one of the most underrated guitar players from the 80s. When people are talking about guitar players from that era, they always mention George Lynch, DeMartini, Randy Rhoads, Eddie Van Halen. Those guys are great players, but Chris's name should be right in there with him. I absolutely love his playing. He combines those elements of neoclassical, but he's not just an over-the-top shred guitar player. He has a lot of feeling to his playing, and he has a great guitar tone. When I hear his playing, I hear Ritchie Blackmore, Uli Roth era Scorpions, Michael Schenker, Randy Rhoads, which are all my favorite players. So I just love Chris. Sadly, he died in a car accident in 1993. His older brother, I believe his older brother, John Oliva, on vocals. I like John's voice. He has a very sort of classic metal voice, if you will. A lot of upper range, a lot of grit and dirt to his sound. Last night I was watching the video for the song Hall of the Mountain King, and my wife was in the room, and she said, I always love Savatage's music, but I just can never really get into the vocals. And I guess I can kind of understand that, because John, especially when he's in his upper range, you know, it does have that sort of sandpaper quality to it, and maybe some people just don't like that, but I think it's great, and I think it works really well in the band and on this album. Johnny Lee Middleton on bass, Steve Wachholtz, I'm probably saying that wrong, on drums. Great players all around. The album was produced by Paul O'Neill, who would go on to have a long relationship with the Savatage, working with them and Trans-Siberian Orchestra after this. And the production on this album I just absolutely love. Again, it has that sort of atmosphere, slightly dark, enough reverb in there, but it doesn't sound dated, you know what I mean? It's just, it has a mood and a feel to it that I just really, really love. What's there to say about this album, man? This is a 10 out of 10 for me. I love all the songs on this record. The opening track, 24 Hours Ago, is a great example of how Savatage do things a little differently, like the rhythm, and it's something that I like about Savatage. They don't play a lot of the same rhythmic cliches that you hear from a lot of other metal bands. This is a good example of that with 24 Hours Ago. The rhythm underneath it is sort of this stop-start thing with the drums playing kind of a non-traditional type of pattern. The riff is really cool. I always love the way Chris would throw in little guitar fills and runs. It's the same way Randy Rhoads would do on the Ozzy albums. Beyond the Doors of the Dark, fantastic. The intro to this, I just love it. That sort of clean guitar part. Sounds like something that could have been on Ozzy's Diary of a Madman. I just love it. Legions, great song. Strange Wings, fantastic melodic heavy metal. This is an example where, you know, oftentimes people say, oh, this band should have been bigger and stuff like that. With Savatage in this era of the band, I really do believe they should have been bigger, and this is a good example. This song, this could have been, you know, a radio song or an MTV sort of hit. It's just a great, well-written song, very melodic. Side 2 opens with Prelude to Madness, which is an instrumental, and it's based on Edvard Grieg, who's a classical composer, had a piece called Hall of the Mountain King, and the riff that Chris is playing there is the main theme from that piece. And then the song goes into the song Hall of the Mountain King, which is absolutely great. Love it. Those like gang vocals and stuff in the background. It's just classic metal. The Price You Pay is great. White Witch reminds me of some very new wave of British heavy metal. Maybe something you might have heard Angel Witch do. Last Dawn is another short little instrumental, again giving that neoclassical vibe to this record that I love. And then the album ends with Devastation, another really cool song. This is my favorite era of the band, and although I like the albums that will come later on, I never really embrace them as much as I do this era from the band. And I guess it's because I'm really a traditional metal guy at heart, and I love that European darker sound that these earlier albums have. When it got a little bit more theatrical and stuff, I like those records, but I just lost interest in them a little bit. Like, I love the song Edge of Thorns is such an incredibly well-written song. It is one of my favorite hard rock, heavy metal songs of all time. So there's a lot of stuff that I do like from those records, but I find myself gravitating towards this era because I just love the mood and feel of the albums from here, and especially this one. This album, it seems to all kind of come together for them with the production and the songs and just the way the whole album flows. Okay, there you go. Savatage, Hall of the Mountain King. Let me know what you guys think of this album in the comments down below. Make sure you check out my socials. Till we see you again, make sure you stay heavy, stay metal.